Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever actually stopped to wonder why a simple piece of paper or just a number on a screen commands so much power over our lives? I mean, it's wild when you think about it. Today, we're going to demystify this concept we literally use every single day, yet rarely pause to really think about: money. We're going to strip it all the way down to its earliest roots to figure out the fundamental, historical problems that a new technology like Bitcoin was actually created to solve.
But look, before we can even begin to understand the world of crypto, we've got to travel back in time a bit. So today, we're going to cover the problem with barter, the 3 jobs of money, what makes money good, the importance of scarcity, the trust factor, and finally, Bitcoin as the next evolution.
All right, Section 1, the problem with barter and the friction of early trade. To see where money comes from, let's just imagine a small village where there is absolutely no money whatsoever.
So put yourself in this scenario. Imagine you're a farmer. You grow vegetables and you desperately need a new pair of shoes. So you grab your harvest, head over to the local shoemaker, and offer up your veggies. Sounds simple, right? Well, here's the major roadblock. What if the shoemaker doesn't want vegetables right now? What if instead they really want chickens? Well, you don't have chickens, you have vegetables. So now you have to go track down a chicken farmer who just happens to have a sudden craving for carrots, trade with them, and then haul those chickens all the way back to the shoemaker.
Economists actually have a great term for this massive headache. They call it the double coincidence of wants. In a direct barter system, you've got to find someone who has exactly what you want, and crucially, they have to want exactly what you have. In a tiny village, sure, maybe you can figure it out. But imagine a growing economy that produces thousands of different goods: clothes, tools, housing, education. Finding that absolute perfect match, it becomes impossibly complicated.
And that is exactly why money was invented. It's a brilliant bridge to solve this exact problem. Instead of endlessly searching for that perfect one-to-one match, you just trade your work or your vegetables for money. Then you use that money to buy food or shoes or literally anything else. And this brilliantly illustrates how society becomes, exponentially more productive. Because of this bridge, we don't have to individually produce everything we need to survive. We can actually specialize in complex, highly specific jobs, like being a doctor, a mechanic, or a software developer.
Which brings us to Section 2. The 3 jobs of money, and what money actually does for society. Because to effectively act as that bridge between all of our highly specialized jobs, money has to successfully perform 3 distinct functions.
Think of it like money is essentially applying for 3 jobs at once. First, as we just saw, it has to act as a medium of exchange to drastically reduce the complexity of everyday trade. Second, it must act as a unit of account. And third, it has to serve as a reliable store of value over time. Let's look a bit closer at those last 2. Just think about your typical supermarket receipt. As a unit of account, money gives us a common mathematical language. It means we can instantly compare the economic value of vastly different things. Without this common unit, how many bags of rice is a laptop worth? How many pairs of shoes equal a new car? Comparing thousands of random products would be an absolute nightmare. Money provides that unified measuring system.
But here is where it gets deeply personal for all of us. Let's say you work hard today, but you don't want to spend everything right now. You want to save your earnings to use next year, or maybe 10 years from now. Well, you have to seriously ask yourself, how effectively does your chosen form of money store that purchasing power into the future? Because, spoiler alert, not all money is created equal in this regard.
Moving on to Section 3, what makes money good? The survival traits of currency. Throughout history, humanity has relentlessly experimented with so many different objects as money: shells, beads, stones, paper. But not everything makes good money. To survive and actually be useful across generations, a monetary good needs a highly specific set of physical and economic characteristics. It has to be divisible enough so you aren't forced to, buy an entire house when you just want a cup of coffee. It has to be durable enough not to rot like food. It needs to be recognizable and portable enough so trade isn't physically exhausting. Actually, a crazy historical example: the people of Yap Island historically used massive multi-ton limestone discs called rye stones as currency, which perfectly proves why portability absolutely matters. And finally, above all else, it must be scarce.
This perfectly illustrates why gold became the historical global standard across completely different, disconnected societies. Why gold? Because it naturally possessed these exact traits. It doesn't decay over time. You can easily melt it into smaller coins. But most importantly, it is incredibly difficult to produce in huge quantities quickly. You literally have to mine it out of the ground with immense effort.
Which leads perfectly into Section 4, the importance of scarcity and protecting your purchasing power.
Out of all those survival traits we just listed, the concept of scarcity dictates your future wealth, and it really deserves our special attention.
Try this quick thought experiment. Imagine you own one of only 100 exceptionally rare collectibles in the entire world. It's highly valuable, but suddenly someone discovers a machine that can produce millions of identical copies of your exact collectible every single day. Would your original piece remain equally valuable? Of course not. The sudden explosion in supply completely wrecks its scarcity, and therefore its value just plummets.
So the crucial point here is that money faces this exact same issue. If you choose to hold your life savings in money B, whose supply can easily and rapidly be expanded by whoever controls it, you risk severely weakening your purchasing power over, say, a 10-year period. You always want to hold a tightly constrained asset like money A, where the supply is inherently difficult to expand.
All right, Section 5, the trust factor, or money as a social system. Now, beyond physical traits like scarcity and durability, we also have to remember that money is, at its absolute core, a social system. A piece of paper with a number on it has zero practical value by itself.
Money only works because a community coordinates and agrees to accept it. In our modern traditional systems, we achieve this coordination by placing an enormous amount of blind trust in centralized institutions. We blindly trust commercial banks and governments to perfectly maintain our accounts, process our transactions honestly, keep accurate records, and manage the supply of national currencies without expanding them too rapidly. It's a system built entirely on centralized trust. And that brings us to our final part, Section 6, Bitcoin, the next evolution and the digital solution. Because when we view it through this historical lens, we realize Bitcoin is not just some confusing tech fad, it's actually an attempt at the logical next step in humanity's quest for perfect money.
When you map Bitcoin onto those ancient survival traits of money we discussed earlier, you see that it essentially takes the absolute best elements and digitizes them. It's highly portable because it moves instantly across the internet. It's incredibly divisible. One single Bitcoin can be broken down into tiny fractions called satoshis. Its durability comes from existing on a distributed global network rather than sitting in a physical vault. And it is strictly scarce, with a hard protocol cap of exactly 21 million coins that can ever be created. No more, ever.
But here's the thing. Its most unusual and revolutionary feature isn't just that it's digital. I mean, we already have digital bank accounts, right? The real engineering breakthrough here is that it enforces all of these monetary rules via a decentralized software network. It completely removes the need for a central issuing institution. There is no central bank of Bitcoin. The rules of its scarcity and its ledger are upheld by the network participants themselves.
So instead of just asking a surface-level question like, what is cryptocurrency? This explainer really shows us the profound question Bitcoin is actually asking. It is testing a massive hypothesis. Can we successfully engineer perfect digital money that retains its scarcity and usability entirely without centralized trust? And whether you believe Bitcoin ultimately succeeds at this experiment or not, you've got to admit it is a truly fascinating leap in economic evolution.
As we wrap up this chapter of the long monetary story, a story that, remember, took us all the way from trading vegetables and shoes to giant island stones to gold to paper and now to digital networks, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to ponder. Is it government approval that gives money value? Is it physical existence? Or is it simply trust and scarcity? Ultimately, what truly makes something money? Keep that in mind as you navigate today's economy. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.